Hi everyone, and today I'm going to talk to you about why your estimates are a disaster and how to get them right. Hi, my name's Adam Sykes, founder of SwiftCase, the professional productivity platform, and today I want to help you to delight your customers by teaching you how to under-promise and over-deliver. So there's one question I always get asked when I was ever starting a new project, especially back in the days when we were doing more sort of bespoke work and some consulting. And that is, how long is it going to take? How long is the project going to take? When can you deliver? All these sorts of types of questions, I think they're actually impossible to answer. And today I'm going to tell you why they're impossible to answer and how to handle these questions when you get given them. If your industry is like my industry, which is the tech sector, then what you actually have to do each time that you start a new project is come up with something that is completely novel. It's completely new. It's a solution that fits to the problem that's being asked of you. Now, unless you've done exactly the same project before, and when I say exactly the same, I mean the same, not similar, then how do you know how long it's going to take? Until you've actually worked out how it's going to be built, what types of techniques you need to use, which developers you need to get involved on the project, which staff need to be brought into the team, you're not going to know how long it's going to take, because part of the actual development of software and part of the development of new solutions is the design of the actual solution. And the design of the solution depends on the actual problem at hand. So unless you've done exactly the same project before, please be wary about giving an exact time period. If people want an estimate, then here are some of the ways that you can use to handle their objections. So one method that people often use is they try and break down the task. So they'll break down the task into smaller and smaller sections where they think that they know how long each part is going to take. Now, the problem comes is that at some point you're going to have to put these sections back together, and each of these sections will have time to integrate them back together. And what you will find is often that you know how much each of the individual tasks may take, but bringing it all back together at the end could be the task that takes 90% of the time. So although you might understand that how one particular thing is going to take you an hour and another particular thing is going to take you an hour, when they come together, they don't necessarily take 2 hours. And this is often unforeseen when you're doing a chunking exercise. So if you don't know how to do it by an estimate, why not just plan out in detail exactly how long the task is going to take? So work out exactly what you need to do. Now, as I said, in my industry and in many other consulting industries, the actual process of working out what needs to be done is the task. So designing how a system is going to work is the biggest proportion of the amount of work that you need to do. The actual implementation of writing the actual code or creating the databases or the user experience, that's quite a small proportion once you've actually planned it out. So when someone's asking you when you haven't even started, how long is it going to take? Well, the planning phase is going to take such a large proportion of that until you've done that, you can't give an accurate representation of how long the actual project is going to take as a whole. Once you've actually done the planning stage, then maybe you would be able to say how long it would take to implement. Even if you do plan out the whole project in detail and you have a planning phase first, that you tell your customers that they need to let you plan it out in detail first before you can give them a full estimate, and they're happy to go down that route, then what you may find is you plan everything out, but other things get in the way. So life happens and things need to be changed. So for example, recently there was a case where carbon dioxide ran out across Europe. So the fizzy drinks industry had this big stop, this big problem, because it couldn't get hold of carbon dioxide. No one would have thought that that was going to happen. It would be totally unforeseen. There was lots of circumstances that led up to this point. And until you can actually know what's going to happen and know what's going to happen in the future, you're not going to be able to create accurate plans. So always leave contingency in, but also be a bit fuzzy on the actual end of the plan. Be a bit fuzzy on the end delivery date. Talk about quarters, talk about months. Don't talk about 9:15 on the 12th of January, because you're just not going to be able to make it that accurately. So one thing to consider is all plans are not equal. So a lot of the things we've been talking about so far in this video, they are applicable to large scale projects, to long-term projects, things that are going to take a year, 2 years. If you're actually talking about something that's going to take a week, then be accurate. If you know it's only 5 tasks, and you're going to get them each done in an hour, well then you can reasonably say it's going to take me a couple of days, or it's going to take me 3 days. But why not just say it's going to take me a week? If the customer's happy with the timescale of a week, and you can deliver it in 3 days, why not give yourself that extra piece of time to make sure that you under promise to your customer, you give them that week, that's the under promise, but you over deliver, you give it to them in 3 days. Then your customer's happy, you've not given yourself undue pressure, and you've got a bit of contingency in there to deal with any issues. So another option, apart from taking smaller time periods and being able to produce a bit of a contingency, is to actually carry out a scoping project. So rather than taking on the year-long project or the 2-year-long project, why not say, look, let's do an initial project where we do a lot of the groundwork and we can try out some of the prototypes and see how things are going to work, and give a definite time scale of, let's do a month on this and see how things are going to pan out. Fund the actual scoping project, and we'll be able to give you a much better estimate of the overall project as a whole. So the option I actually like to take though is more of an agile approach. So rather than dealing with a fixed time or a fixed set of deliverables, why not work in a more agile fashion and get your customer to come along with you for the journey? So agree a small number of tasks to begin with and get those finished, get those signed off, and then agree the next set of tasks. And then if people's projects change over time, if people's focus, your customer's focus changes, you can be agile to those changes, and you can actually provide a much better service, a much more reactive service to them. So they're happy because they're getting what they want done when they want to do it, and you're happy because you're only working in small chunks. You don't need to be promising things that are 2 years away that you just don't know where you're going to be in 2 years. Maybe staff change, maybe projects change, and that time period is just too long. So work on a month-to-month basis on some kind of retainer package, or on a step-by-step process where you do it in phases. However it works for you and however it works for your customer. Think about different ways where you can produce your plan together and work in a way that helps you to meet your goals and helps them to get what they want out of the relationship. And the final thing I want to talk about today is don't bury your head. So if things aren't working, tell your customer early. Let them know what the problems are. Let them know what you're trying to do to solve them, but be realistic. If you're not going to get this project done in the next month, don't say, give me 1 more day or give me 2 more weeks. Say, look, it's going to take 2 months and this is why. And if you want us to carry on, it will take 2 months. Or do you want us to cut something? Do you want us to change the scope? Can we change the project to get it done by the deadline that you want with the features that are necessary? And maybe we can come back in a stage 2 in the future. So always think about whether, is the deadline the most important, or are the features the most important? Because sometimes it's not possible to have both. And if you're honest with your customers, then they'll respect you for that. And they'll be happy because you've kept them in the loop, you've under-promised, you've over-delivered, and then everyone's a winner. Okay, thank you for listening. Hopefully this helped you with your project management and ways to think about how you can work with your clients to get a better relationship in the future. If you've got any other ideas about how you can make your estimates better, then please drop them in the comments below. My name is Adam Sykes, founder of SwiftCase, the professional productivity platform. See you again next time.